But my increasingly pot belly is really disturbing. I've never had a... Anyway, so yeah, we said that we were afraid that World Studies 9 was not educating you in history as much as it should. I will do my best to make this as interesting to you as it is to me. And it really is. So the last time we left off, we were still in the ancient Near East, and we saw Sumer become a new empire called... Allison, where's your hand? We saw Sumer become, your notes should be really good from last time in history. We saw Sumer become a new empire called?
Babylon.
Babylon. Good man. He's back.
Well, I was singing the Babylon song.
My favorite, Alex, is back.
Yeah, I'm his favorite.
I don't mean my favorite of the two Alexes. I mean my favorite half of Alex, Two-Face Alex. Okay. So. Okay. I won't show you what does exist as a hidden link on Moodle, which is a quiz that will be a test of historical knowledge. And it's a practice quiz, so you can practice as many things as you want. I won't show it to you because I haven't finished making it yet. My point here, Sid, is that this is testable. Take your notes. It will be an open note quiz as well, maybe. But you'll certainly have a practice quiz that you can do as many times as you want, and that you can do open note at home. But you want to be able, no, it won't be open note, I take it back. In class it won't be open note. Your notebook will help you take the practice quiz at home, because your goal here is not to pass the quiz and not know it. Your goal here is to actually know it, because I'm giving you the important stuff, not all the stupid little, way too many details, right? The big picture. Not the trivial details that we need 50 multiple choice questions, so we're gonna just like torture you with irrelevant crap. Yes, Megan. The title of this is The Birth of Judaism. So notice, yes, the birth of Judaism. How do you spell Judaism? Oh, yeah, there it is. Thank you. Very nice map. Okay, so here we go. We are starting. So to back up, we talked about how, and I think I've got a running thing of whiteboard shots on that new photo gallery, so you can actually just click on pictures of the whiteboards and you can actually go through and see. I think on the last one we saw that I said, notice what we just did. I did 3,000 Sumer, 2,000 Babylon, 1,000 Jerusalem. Israel, the birth of Israel. And you've all heard of Israel because most of us in this room are of a religion that is derived from these Jews, these Hebrews. Okay? You're either you're either Judaic, Christian, or Muslim. If you're any of those three, your story really doesn't start here. Your story starts with Babylon. And that's what makes it so interesting. So, because Babylon is, again, like the United States today, the superpower, the big empire of all of this area. And so its cuneiform writing and all that sort of stuff, that was the major culture. Today, the major one is everybody speaks English, even if they're foreign. Their second language is going to be English because that's the major language, the dominant language. Back then, it was Babylonian. Cuneiform writing, all sorts of stuff. Right? Allison, come on now. He's getting better, you're getting worse. Okay, now. And there's Babylon, and I do want you to know where that is. And the name of the empire is Babylonia. The city is Babylon. And let's notice this other thing, again, to remind you, to repeat, Assyria. Because we talked about this area here is Syria. Do you want to draw a little map where you actually like go, okay, Black Sea, and notice we don't have to like do the exact shape of it. Caspian Sea, and then, how would that look?
Anatolia.
That's close enough because that's the Black Sea. BS. That's the Caspian Sea. And Anatolia is a word that you should know. because we still use it today, and it's a region, it's not a country. So the country that Alex didn't know but does now know, the country in Anatolia today is called Turkey. Right? So Turkey is in the region of Anatolia. So when we talk about Anatolians, we talk about this peninsula here under the Black Sea. Right? So Anatolia is it's not a dead word. So this is your geography part. The who, what, where, when, why. Here's your where part. Okay, so I've got my Mediterranean Sea here. I've got Anatolia, and it goes down. And then something interesting happens here. Look at the map. At this little turn here, what happens? Yeah, so there's a Red Sea. Whoops. And then, so this is important. This is where Moses was supposed, God was supposed to make the Red Sea part, and Moses was supposed to escape with an army. God said, there's a guy standing next to this sea with soldiers behind him, with Jews behind him, being chased by the Pharaoh, and he's a Jew, so I'm on his side, I'm God, they're my chosen people, Moses, the Jews. And so I want him to cross. So I'm going to be God. Hey, if I can say let there be light, and there's light, I can go let the Red Sea just suddenly do this. So that there's walls of water on both sides, and there's just dry land right there. And so Moses and his people left Egypt across the Red Sea because God performed a miracle. And when Pharaoh and his army chased him, what happened to God said, okay, I'm not on their side. They're not the chosen people. They believe in different gods, not me. They're not good. So, suckers! You actually chased them into the parting of the Red Sea that I made? And they all drown in their chariots, their horses, and everything else. And Moses goes into actually this. What does this square mean? Let's see how educated and literate you are. Do you know how maps? Do you know the ABCs of maps? There's a square here. What do you think that means? It's going to zoom in. It's going to say, we need to look at this closer. And we're going to look at this closer, and it's going to be on your test because, again, there are geographic things that are interesting, and therefore people know them, and you are going to know them. Moses actually is said to have crossed. What's the yellow? It's probably the travels. Yes, it's the travels of Moses. So look at Moses leaving Ramses and Pharaoh. Whatever.
What are you doing?
I'm just getting all these lines are driving me nuts. And going into, so what's this little peninsula called here? We need to change our map a little bit. Well, that's why we just stop sniffling and move on. We adapt and we overcome.
Oh, I did that.
Okay? Because this little thing is in the news today. What's it called? What's this peninsula called? Sinai. Allison, it's called Sinai. I want you to start activating that writing technology. So we got Sinai. And then there's a mountain down there at the bottom of Sinai, so let's just make a little mountain arrow up. Mountain. Mount Sinai. Because a very famous thing happened there that if you are Christian, Jewish, or Muslim, you believe it's true. So Sinai Peninsula. Okay. Let's go ahead and throw the Nile where it belongs. And that's enough. We're not going to do Egypt because nobody did Egypt, and it's really not as important as Babylon and such for our stories.
You know what class I want?
Let's do more regional terms, geography. How can we tell what is a region and what is a city just looking at the map? The map is trying to say there's a difference I'm using to show you.
City's a dot.
Okay, and what else?
And the region population.
It's like all caps.
The region's all caps, right? And so I do want you to know really all of these. Phoenicia, because the Phoenicians are very famous. They affect you right now. The Phoenicians, Phoenicia. So a person from Phoenix land, Phoenicia. Yeah, Phoenix comes from this spelling. People from Phoenicia are affecting you at this very moment. Some of you, anyway, who have your pens moving or pencils moving. Do you get the riddle?
Oh, I remember.
Phonics?
Phonics?
Phonetics.
Huh?
Phonetics.
How are you doing phonetics? What sort of writing system do you have? Is it pictographic?
No.
What is it?
Alphabet.
Alphabetic.
Those are good.
Allison? Isn't it interesting that you're doing something that these Phoenicians invented for the first time ever anywhere? They said, to heck with making 4,000 pictures the way the Chinese did of things when they write. You have to memorize 4,000 different things to write. It takes forever. What if we make 26 letters instead, or however many number? A K, there's a C, a B, there's a B, and we put all those together and it just makes phonetic sounds. That's alphabet. Aleph, A, beta, B, alpha, beta, alphabet. So the Phoenicians were the first ones to make an alphabetic language. And this area is Phoenicia. I just gave you two things there. That's about as far as I hope we go with the Phoenicians until we get to the Roman Empire. Forget all these little cities. The only one that we're going to worry about is Jerusalem and Damascus. And but we do want Israel. Do you know where Israel is?
It's right there.
It's right there. So, make sure that you put Israel close to Sinai. That purple there?
The entire purple.
Judah. This whole area we'll call Israel. What I want you to realize is important is that Israel does border Sinai. Israel goes all the way down to the Sinai Peninsula. The Dead Sea is a really interesting place, this little thing. It's not as interesting as the Black Sea. And I don't know why they call it a sea at all, because it's just a little bitty lake compared to everything else. There it is, the Dead Sea. I do want you to know that one. Why? And the river that's above it. Okay, these are required. So let's draw them here. What do we got? Oh. You're lucky, you got pencils. I've got these like big fat tipped sons of bees. Whatever. Ugh. So there's the Dead Sea, and there's the Jordan River. Now, if you go to church, mosque, or synagogue, and you don't know this, you're a fake religious person. You're a fake religious person. You just belong to the club, but you don't take it seriously. Right? In your face. It's true. Because this is basic. I learned this I knew this when I was 6 years old. I sang songs about Jordan. The Jordan River. And the Dead Sea. What's interesting about the Dead Sea? Who knows their basic geography? Ooh!
Oh,
Yeah?
it's got a lot of salt in it.
It's got so much salt in it that it's
The-
dead. Nothing can live in it.
Like, you can just
And you can float in it. There's so much salt that you are buoyant in it. You're just like, yeah. So the water is denser than you. And you guys are like the densest people I've ever met.
Oh.
Especially you. All right. Did you get it yet?
I don't get it.
Dense person? Oh my goodness. Someone explained to her that
Dense means like
Oh,
hold,
okay.
like
Dense.
hold and like.
Thick-headed. Rockhead.
Wouldn't they call you
Then
like
it's
taller
more
though, 'cause it's like
compact.
up in there?
That's another possibility that's used. Notice there are
Okay.
many metaphors for
Mr. Burrell, what is the pure meaning of dense?
highly compressed.
What?
Highly compressed. Matter is highly compressed. Density.
again. What?
Okay, stop. All right, so, all right. Now let's make sure that we put our city Jerusalem there.
Okay, I don't know.
Why is Jerusalem important? Who was the first king of Jerusalem?
Jesus.
How many of you know who the first king of...
David.
Wait, no. Oh my god, there was one person before next to But no, there wasn't. Oh my god.
Okay. And who was it that like wandered around in the Sinai desert after the Red Sea?
Oh, the Jews.
Who led them?
Moses.
Who led the Jews out of Egypt?
Moses! You
Moses.
just
You've
said
seen the Disney movie, right?
No.
I don't know. I figured Disney did something with it.
Yeah,
There's a Disney movie, but I've not seen it. There's a
Oh yeah,
Right. You know, where like Moses and God do a song and dance, a cute little song and dance, some two-dimensional gods up there. I love Moses, yeah, the Disney song. Okay.
Is that your version of the Disney song?
Yes. Okay, so anyway,
Disney songs are much more meaningful than that, at least some of them.
no, they're not.
They are.
Some of them, yeah. Some.
You poor children.
Like, not
You
all.
poor children.
Not
From Shakespeare to Disney. That's the modern world.
Oh, trust me, no, Shakespeare is something completely different. I'm just saying like
Yes, I agree with that. We're on the same page there.
Disney's
Now,
very,
moving right along.
very good.
Why did I tell you that the Jordan River is an important river that you will know? Because I don't want you to be geographically dumb, like Miss Teen, North Carolina, 2009.
Oh yeah, I watched that. She's so stupid.
Let's take a quick video break and watch Miss Teen,
Yes!
North Carolina. Okay,
North Carolina.
and so you don't want to be, look, you're already close to her geographically. You don't want to be close to her intellectually.
Actually, my mom's from
Miss Teen.
My mom's from North Carolina.
North. Watch, it'll come up as a first search. Yep, there it is, Miss Teen, North Carolina. Google looks for her first because she is what you don't want to be, and it's my job to keep you from being. Mr. Teen, North Carolina, too, for those of you who think it can only happen to girls.
Hey, my shirt.
Or is it South Carolina?
My shirt. Should we be really scared?
You should be terrified.
Is this the word for one thing?
She looks pretty. Yeah. I mean, she could buy
No, please.
Yeah.
It must be 2007.
When we
There's
go-
61 million views.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you focus on just the makeup and the outside, and you forget about like learning stuff. You're this really pretty, dense person. She's pretty dense. Pretty dense.
How old?
12.
Pretty clever. I'm a funny guy. You gotta admit, I'm pretty clever.
Yeah.
I'm just the funniest guy you've ever.
How old is she?
If I do say so myself.
Actually,
I'm also humble. Come on, you son of a.
Pete is like the same.
Oh. No, it helps if you plug it in.
Why are you calling a poo?
Okay, whatever I just said about being a smart guy, I take back.
Oh.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Teen, North Carolina, give it up!
She's South Carolina.
Okay, the U.
Oh, she's South Carolina. Okay, I don't know my geography.
Dang it, no. Yeah, Megan.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map.
Oh my god.
Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa. It should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Hopefully she didn't win.
Who said the Iraq? Thank you, because we're talking about Iraq, and it's not the Iraq. Unless you speak Arabic, in which case, oddly enough, it is, but she didn't know that.
Maybe
How do you know?
Dude.
What did she? I didn't really understand what she
Not only does she not know geography, she doesn't know grammar. Okay? And such as?
Can we see the girl punching the other girl? That's just so funny.
Can we see the girl hit the other one with a shovel?
I actually was sorry for her. Nobody like talked to her.
Where's, there's not, that's a short version. She says,
I know.
Oh, then do the long version.
That's what he's trying to do.
Thanks. Now to a video clip that's become the talk of the internet. It's taken from Friday's Miss Teen USA pageant, and it shows a very nervous Miss South Carolina having a very tough time in the question and answer part of the program. Take a look.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa. It should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future.
Miss South Carolina, Caitlin Upton, good morning.
Good morning.
You get so nervous.
Wait, I want to see her.
What'd she say?
I want to see what she really talks like.
watch it at home instead of your fart videos.
It's literally a 3-minute video. It's
no.
right there. Oh my god, it says it right there. 3 minutes left. Oh my god.
So getting back to it. That's why it's important for you to know not just where 1 in 5 American high school students in 2007 didn't know where America was on the map. Those of you who are American, look yourself in the mirror and go. Because I'll tell you, I read something about Indian tech support. You know, you call any like computer company saying hi, you know, and normally the corporations have like hired Indian places because their workers are cheaper, and so you get, hello, may I help you, right? Whatever, you get this Indian person, right? And this is what they say about, I know, really bad Indian accent. Apu, The Simpsons. Thank you for coming. Please come back again. What? Anyway, this is what tech support people say. It was a joke that I read. The Indians, when they get a call from Americans, hey Americans, the Indians, when they get a call from Americans, are like, oh God, it's an American. There was some joke like, how old are you? 38, yes. 38 years, but something like mind of an 8-year-old or something. Like they talk to international support. They talk to people from countries all over the world who speak English, and American education is so bad, and also the American culture is so bad. We focus so much on being Miss Teen South Carolina instead of whatever, being like in any way like I have a clue about the world. That they're like, these Americans are just not real educated. So if you don't know your basic places on the map, you're one of them. Are you one of the 5 Americans who can't like name basic things like Turkey on the map?
Yeah.
Turkey.
Well, turkey doesn't look like a turkey, so it is not.
So let's go back to it now. Because brainstorm. In the news today, there are lots of countries in this region. They're not called Babylonia anymore. That's going to disappear from history. What countries do you know? I want you to like write a quick list. Ooh, yeah, write a quick list. All the countries that we know. For no help.
All of them?
In this area. In this area. This area.
China.
Okay, so like
The Middle East.
China.
Okay, guys, it's gonna suck, but I will try.
List all of the countries that you vaguely know exist. No, list them, female. List them, I said.
Saudi Arabia?
List them, child.
Oh!
List.
I thought you meant like verbally list. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one.
Technically, but not technically. I only got
Is
one.
Pakistan close?
I only got 5.
Palestine.
Hey, no.
And these are all going to be mostly Arab states. Muslim states, Arab states today.
What about
Man,
Egypt? Was pretty close.
Amazonia? What? No.
What about Yemen and Qatar?
No.
Oh my
Not
God.
even like remotely close.
So?
Oh, I remember that in the records class. We were like, it's the Oman. Yemen's there.
I don't care.
No, that was Qatar.
Okay. What countries do we have? What countries do we have? Let's go.
Syria.
Syria.
Iraq.
Syria.
The Iraq. Gosh.
Syria. Iraq.
Iran.
Wait. Let's see how well we can do. Let's see how well we can. Quiet. We're going to do this in an orderly way instead of this complete, like, you're just peeing all over the toilet seat right now. That's a male joke. I hope. Women don't pee on the toilet seat, do they? I have that joke in my mind because I just went to the teacher's bathroom and some teacher didn't lift the toilet seat. I was like, go wrong. Okay, anyway. Let's see how we can, let's see how it's true. And I was like, that's morality right there. Good person lifts the toilet seat, or at least like toilet paper's off the splatters. And it was a big boy moment. Okay, anyway. Let's keep all of these Persian Gulf and Arabian countries out for the moment. What's from Sinai up to Turkey and over to here? Okay, so all right, so keep out all those Persian Gulf countries. Now, Sid, is Sinai a country? Okay, Turkey. What other countries do we have that are up here? Lebanon, good. How many of you have not heard of Lebanon?
I have. I had a friend from Lebanon. He stole my mood ring and.
Testable item. What's the capital city of Lebanon?
Oh.
Oh, wait. Oh, Beirut.
What?
I'm sorry, I totally confused them.
Now, girls, you like fashion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Muslim countries have a reputation, unfairly, of being like not Western fashionable and all that sort of stuff. Unfairly, Arab countries do. Lebanon has always been the exception. Beirut has been called the Paris of the Middle East. Very fashionable, very, because it's so close to the West, it was like the most open to it and all that sort of thing. So Beirut, the Paris of the Middle East, right? Very, high fashion, very, like
Western.
Liberal Muslim country. So, okay, so what other Middle Eastern countries do we have up here that are not on the list yet? Come on. Jordan, thank you. Come on, there's a few more. How about here?
Egypt is
There.
Alex.
Palestine.
Nile River, my friend.
Palestine.
Remember 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade? Nile River.
Israel.
Israel.
Palestine.
Palestine and Israel, but like they count as one.
We're still missing a few guys. What's here?
He said, okay? So come up.
Oh my God, you are just shamelessly Miss Teen
like
South Carolina. All of
Oh
you.
my God, that
Look
is
how
a
ignorant
hit.
you are.
Do not-
Look how ignorant you are. You don't
Horrible
even,
human beings.
you don't even know what's here on the Tiger Euphrates? Oh my God.
I know.
Okay, what's over here? Oh, for crying out loud, give me a freaking break. Relax.
Iran.
Not worth having a heart attack.
Iran.
What about over here? Oh.
Iran.
What about over here on the other side of the Tigris? What is this? Huh?
It's the country.
The Iron countries.
What's the name of this body of water?
Persian Gulf.
So what do you think?
Persia.
Persia. And what's Persia called today? It's not called Persia.
Persia.
United Arab.
No, yeah.
No, it's the other.
You know those Indian tech support people who, when they get people with an American accent, say that Americans don't know much? See, it's true. It's true. You don't even know what Persia is called today.
I dare you to go to Germany and ask what's all the countries. I bet they will.
Romania?
I was saying Iran.
Armenia.
I don't know
No,
where
I was
it
saying
is.
Iran.
Okay, yeah, it's up here.
Posting out country.
That's enough, I think.
Okay,
Okay, so.
what about Afghanistan?
No. We're going to stop here because too many is too much.
Wait, isn't Yemen? Yemen's underneath. Oh, it's in
It's south. So we're just doing the Near East, not the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Peninsula right now. Let's finish our map. Let's finish our map.
Oh God.
Let's finish our map. Because we have the Red Sea, and that's really important. It's important if you don't want to sound like Miss Teen South Carolina. It is. Red Sea. And then we've got this other thing on the other side of it, and that's called the... Whoops. Oh, check. I'm close. Let me start that again. What am I trying to draw?
The Arabian Peninsula.
So there's my Red Sea coast, and I'm trying to go down here and do this shape that goes up this way. And then how many of you have lived in?
No, I have lived here. I didn't see you. No, not here. Not
Close enough. It is. It's close enough.
Good
And
try.
this is the.
That's better than I would ever do.
Oh.
Got it.
Oh, we're drawing
Persian Gulf.
You can see why I'm not good.
And the Persian Gulf. What flows into the Persian Gulf? What rivers?
Oh, you already said that.
Some water.
No, anyone has to die.
The Tigris and the Euphrates.
I always thought it was Tigris because of Tigger, like
It's not.
Western culture.
I know, and I was like, no, it has to be Tigris.
Disney. I don't know where anything is in the world, but I know Tigger.
He's very important in life.
Hey, I know Tigger too. I've read the Pooh books as an adult. They're great. Not the Disney story. All right, now here we go then. Ladies and gentlemen! It's time for our first question. Where do you think the country of Jordan is?
Over there.
By the Jordan River.
Oh.
And that's why I had you know the Jordan River. Now, so, if this is Israel, hello? If this is Israel, and that's the Jordan River, Miss Teen, South Carolina, where do you think Jordan's going to be? If that's Israel on this side, and this is the Jordan River, where do you think Jordan's going to be, Lisa?
that side.
Can you give me a direction name?
To the right.
Can you give me a geographic direction name? Because if I'm facing south, to the right means...
To the left, to the left.
So we got Jordan over here. So we got Jordan right here. Do you have Jordan on your map? Isn't it kind of nice to know where Jordan is?
Now Jordan's not alone in the world.
Now,
I mean, like, to us. Like,
so
obviously
okay,
it's not
thank
alone.
you, Jordan.
Shut up, Sono.
Thank you, Jordan, for telling us where you are. Now, what about Iraq?
Iraq is right here.
Oh my.
Iraq?
I have to start testing you.
No, he's right there.
wait.
You said the Because literally I'm not learning anything.
Wait.
Iraq?
I'll test you.
Just like this way. It's
I'll
just
test you. I'll test you. You'll learn it.
I thought you said you were
Isn't it like east of the Tigris?
You're not going to lead me, Miss Tina, to South Carolina. Iraq is where?
East of the Tigris.
How do you know all this? When did you get taught this?
15 years.
Iraq is, okay, but Iraq is the land of the two rivers. So the Tigris and the Euphrates go through Iraq today. Iraq is ancient Mesopotamia. Iraq is ancient Mesopotamia. No, back here, Iraq is ancient Mesopotamia. The two rivers, that's Iraq. The Tigris and the Euphrates, where the Babylonians were, the Sumerians were, Gilgamesh was, the temple prostitutes were, all that good stuff. Mm. You know, the good church.
When they get to
Okay. I was talking about God and prostitutes.
right.
And you hung up on me. Somebody's pranking Mr. Burrell. I just want you to know that.
it's God.
Stop it, Megan. It's God.
I didn't do it this time.
Okay, anonymous prank calls. Call me and leave a Confucius joke on my voice message. Okay, quiet. Okay, now, where's Syria? I'm going to show you. I'm just going to give you a quick map, and you're going to draw the map. Ready? Mark, set, go. Bam. Oh, whoops. Mark, set, go. Bam.
Well, how'd you do that so fast?
Wait, you're gonna draw that?
Oh no, heck. This is what it looks like on my screen. Just feel my pain, right? I can't zoom. Bloody.
It's okay, we
Go
can
to
see it.
view image and then control plus 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 plus. View image.
Or you can just press Command plus.
Or you can just leave it the way it is and live a life. That's not
Live a life. I'm living a life no hard to
Thank you.
Oh, is that where Olivia is?
Okay, guys. Look, it's that easy. All I want you to know is this: Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Iran. I mean, Kuwait. Really, who cares? Who cares? But really, Kuwait. Who cares?
Why?
Poor Kuwait. I don't care about you at all. You're so unimportant. You don't matter at all. You should not exist. But
Somebody in here was from Kuwait.
nobody's from Kuwait. That's the joke. It's like 5 people. Draw it. Draw it. Draw it. There it is. We're just doing not. Why not? Saudi Arabia. Forget about the little Gulf states. Forget about the little Gulf states. But I don't want you to draw Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula. You should know where that is. And hello, Saudi Arabia is on the
I
Arabian.
wrote the Persian Sea, not the Persian Gulf.
Thank you.
Wait, so this is what?
I'm going to come around and give a cookie to the person who's got the prettiest map.
I know that
I want borders.
I like cookies.
Oh, you want that?
I want that map now.
Come on.
I think mine's really
It's
good.
like really.
You got that whole side page there. Look at that. Just begging you to like say, hey, draw on me.
We
That's
draw
why-
Saudi Arabia or not?
Draw the peninsula because that's important.
Okay.
It has the 2 C's on each side. Make it make sense.
But isn't this the middle? The middle is Saudi
Do
Arabia.
you want to spell Turkey? Mr. Bro, do you want Turkey?
Yes, I want Turkey.
Oh, please stop.
Future.
I finished.
Awesome.
You need to actually write down what they are.
Saudi.
You have to do Bahrain.
Iraq.
No, you don't have to do the Persian Gulf states.
Iraq.
Joel.
Danny, did you just hear his instructions?
I mean, you know what? Bahrain, Qatar, the Emirates, Oman, Yemen, they are important, especially Yemen, because there's a lot of drones dropping bombs on Yemen because they think that Osama bin Laden's got Al-Qaeda members there. So the U.S. is really angering the Muslims here by droning them, often hitting family reunions that they think are terrorist meetings. And grandma just went up and splatters of meat. Seriously. It's not funny at all. It's horrible. And so, where's the next Osama bin Laden probably going to come from? Yemen, because of the fact that we're killing people's families and then going,
I thought he was dead.
oops. I said the next Osama bin Laden.
Who's the next Osama bin Laden?
Dude, they are just people who hate America and want to pay it back for what America has done, right? And so, we're making people want to pay us back for
Yes, I'm
blowing
so
up
proud that you
grandma.
knew that. Yes.
Look, it wasn't time consuming, so I think mine's prettier in the eye of the beholder.
Okay, look at mine. Mine's
I
prettier.
want the 2 C's, and I want just
Look at mine.
draw the Red Sea there so that you got the Horn of Africa there. The Horn of Africa there.
I drew mine together.
Pretty good.
I really think mine's really good.
No,
I'm
mine's
actually
better.
like drawing them as
Was that the original one that you had?
No, this is the original.
Hmm?
Pretty.
Why is Israel and Lebanon going at this sort of northwesterly direction?
Or I will come up with a song.
Okay.
I will come up with a song. What's my name?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at Annie. She's got some border action going here, and she's got colors. Oh my God! I see Oh wait!
She actually does.
I know. We need to see the Horn of Africa going on, so you just get the Red Sea there.
Oh my God, Danny, I'm so happy you don't.
Draw the outlines so that you see what people name it.
that is so
So this goes down to there.
I have tears in my
Red
eyes.
Sea. So that's what makes the map.
I think I'm done.
I think mine was really good.
That is so many.
It's beautiful in the eye of the
Raw is the
beholder.
worst part. Somebody straighten her up.
Mine was better.
They really have to help out.
That's Saudi Arabia. That's the Red Sea. On the right side of Saudi Arabia. That's the Persian.
when I draw in like a weird
Red Sea
So is this acceptable?
That's the Indian Ocean that you're drawing. The Gulf is that little area between Iran and
Oh my
Saudi
God, if
Arabia.
you peel it off, I will
Where the words Bahrain and Qatar are, they're floating in the Persian Gulf because this is the Persian Gulf.
Whoa. Wait, is this acceptable?
Okay. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Who else is in standing for the cookie?
Here,
Me.
right here.
A nice cookie it is too.
What kind of cookie? Chocolate chip? Because I like chocolate chip.
Shut up, Beavis.
Who? Did you say beaver?
Edith. Oh my
Oh my
god.
gosh.
What did you say?
Okay, let's end this suspense. I think really.
Everyone should get it.
Everyone's a winner.
Or me.
I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Annie. So Annie,
How about some fun?
it's wrapped up inside here. Here's your nice cookie. Okay, now show everybody your nice cookie. I just gave Annie. Show 'em.
I don't want your nice cookie anymore.
A nice cookie. Annie, take it home and put it in your scrapbook. It was our moment.
Either way, I want to know is this good?
Yeah, but draw Africa so that we can see Egypt here. So how do we know that's the Red Sea there? Draw the border of Africa. Just look at it. Look at it. Just draw this part. Draw this line. Bam, bam.
Ba-bam, bam. That was really weird. I have no idea why I just did that, but I will refrain.
Annie, I owe you a cookie. What?
Oh no, Annie. Oh, man.
And then she'll give it to
No,
me,
maybe
right?
not, because that's not
buddies.
fair, because I really didn't look at the maps and judge them very carefully.
Yeah, but
That's
Judge will
why-
again
yeah.
check mine, and maybe mine will win.
Mine was
Just maybe.
really good.
Mine has colors.
It's possible.
Dude, your Persian Gulf looks like Antarctica.
I'm even highlighting the edges of the world here. It's actually quite pretty if you ask me.
Alright, here we go.
Wait.
Let's get back to this God stuff. Alright.
I'm not.
Yes, look at this beautiful map.
Oh, I'm sorry, but mine is prettier.
Alright, no, seriously, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on, let's move on, let's move on. You want to know the word Palestine because you hear in the news about this group called the
Palestinian.
Palestinians.
Haha.
Okay, so
I'm so proud.
so notice there is no country called Palestine. It's part of Israel.
It's
Palestine is this whole region. Really? Okay, so that's the last one, Palestine, because that's in the news today. When people talk about Palestine, at least now you can like mentally picture it. I know that that's like the Israel territory. Okay. Now, very complicated stuff. Syria. You saw Syria on the map, right? So notice it's Assyria. It's this. There. Now we're going. Now we're going. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. We want to finish with Judaism today. And let me see. How can I make this interesting to you? Did I tell you that Adam and Eve? I think I did. When Adam and Eve were put in the garden. Oh my God, you're bored.
No evidence that it went
Oh, okay, good. Because this is not boring. God created the universe according to the Jews. Who were the Jews? Let's talk about the Jews real quick.
They're God's people.
They were God's people. We talked about Abraham?
No.
Tell me in your notes, did we talk about Abraham?
No.
Okay. Now, you do understand that I just discovered that you have not learned the first lick of geography in 8 years of education. I didn't think I would have to teach you where freaking Jordan is, and Turkey, and Syria, and Iraq. I figured, you know, $30,000 a year, that would have happened by now.
But it didn't.
But apparently it's not just Americans, it's American school students who can't place anything.
Wait, but that's not our fault though.
It's not your fault.
No, also it was a public school.
It's not your fault.
I know where Russia is.
What?
Congratulations.
I know where Japan is.
Okay.
You have to get to the Soma level where
Where's
he
my
knows
black
anything
pen?
and everything. And he, yeah. So.
Mexico.
Okay, Mr. Burrell, just take a deep breath and relax. will you?
Chile. I know where Chile is.
Soma. What is that?
Take a deep breath and relax.
I know.
Oh my gosh, she's not gonna tell you.
Seriously.
Hey, Jayla, do me a favor and look at your notes and tell me what ideas we talked about last time and where we stopped when we talked about. Yeah.
Talk about the new empire.
I want Jalen.
We talked about the Babylonian Empire, Mesopotamia, the dates.
And we talked about the Babylonians having a religion that is polytheistic. Okay, good. That's where we. So let's go back to our chart then. So Babylon, southern Mesopotamia. Now, guys, this seriously is interesting. This seriously is interesting stuff. I'm going to make this. This is my argument. It's going to anger some of you. It's going to confuse some of you. Some of you are going to go home and tell your parents that I'm like a bad man, because I'm thinking about religion historically. I'm thinking about religion as people of one language called Semitic, and people of another language called Babylonian, and minorities and majorities and power. Who has more power in this ancient Middle East, the Babylonians or a group of nomads herding goats who don't even have a city? Who has more power? The Babylonian Empire, which has united many of these city-states into a very large empire, so much so that even Egyptians under pharaohs are writing in cuneiform. They're using Babylon's writing system, not their hieroglyphics, to communicate to Syria, Turkey, everywhere. The whole region is using Babylon's writing. Okay? Who has more power? I'm putting this in terms of power. Meanwhile, What was the language of the Hebrews? What was the language of the Israelites, the Jews? I started this thing with, Megan, don't fade. I'm trying to educate you. This is interesting if you just trust me and work on, end of the day, afternoon, my attention span's going, concentration. I started with 3 language families, Indo-Europeans. Who were the ones down here in the desert?
Semitic.
The Semitic. Hitler was an anti-Semite, Semitic. There were 2 branches of that.
Hebrew and Arabic.
The Hebrews, which are the Jews, and the Arabs, which are the Arabians. And they both speak this different language because they are both people from down here south, desert people, camel riders, oasis to oasis, all sort of thing, who, like the Indo-Europeans, split off into many different language groups and became different cultures, but they had the same family of language. So the Hebrews, notice what I just said, the Arabs stayed in Arabia, and so they are camel people. That's why their word for mustache is 2 drinks, right? Because they're like going from oasis to oasis on camels, just trying not to die of thirst. Thank God for camels. Meanwhile, the Hebrews become goat pastoral nomads. Nomads who follow flocks of cattle around, drink their milk, use their skin for clothes and their meat for food, and their milk for drink. So the original Hebrews, the Jews, were a tribe of nomads whose flocks were goats. They were goat herders, literally. Very small, because nomads are always small. These are the people that would go on to conquer half the world or more with their belief system, their God, your God, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Mormon, your God. These nomadic pastoral goat herders are the ones who would conquer Israel and create Jerusalem and write the Bible. And they did not have any power at all. Because the powerful city was what again? What was the name of the powerful city during this time? Babylon. So who are the important, so that's the who and the what. So here's my claim. That's the who and the what. Again, what was the Babylonians? It was polytheistic, but what did they worship?
Women.
Women and
fertility.
Nature gods and fertility. Because they were agricultural. We need things to grow. We need earth to give birth. Earth is female. Because life comes out of earth, out of the ground. Earth is female. What makes females get pregnant? Liquid that goes into females. Rain. Heaven is male. Because semen goes into a woman and impregnates her. Rain goes into earth and gives birth to food and crops and life. Right? And so the sky in most religions is male and the earth is female. Fertility religion. That's what makes the religion that won so interesting. Is there a goddess in it?
No.
That's just the weirdest thing in the world, isn't it? We've got a universe that makes life, and we've got a man god, but we don't have a woman god. That's just very weird. You're all so bored by this. It's really interesting. You're all looking away. It's so interesting to watch you right now. This is the most interesting thing in the world. There was no religion on the whole planet that said there's no female divinity. Hinduism had females. China had its yin and yang, masculine and feminine, male and female, right? The Babylonians, the Greeks, they all had male and female. And there's this one group that ends up saying there's no female at all. And it's pastoral. They're following flocks of goats around. Discuss amongst yourselves. See if you can start thinking deep instead of being shallow. Because you can think deep. I've given you enough. Discuss amongst yourselves. Why does it make sense that it would not be farming people who come up with a religion that says there's no goddess, but it would be nomadic people who would say there's no goddess? It's easy, isn't it? Discuss. Discuss. Because? Okay, So because nomadic people don't care so much about what, and so women are going to be very important to them. What? Nomadic people don't care so much about what, Chloe?
Like about the earth and then what the earth gives them. So then the earth isn't female anymore and it's not important.
And they don't care about the earth more as much as settled people, because settled people do care about the earth more because what?
They're staying there.
Because what? Well, nomads live on the earth too.
But they move constantly moving, so they don't
You're missing the key point here.
Do farmers work with
Farmers. The ones who are settled are farming. They need the earth to give birth to cereals. They're both eating. The nomads are eating goats. We can kill our goats anywhere, right? Even if it doesn't rain, we can kill our goats and eat them. The farmers need earth to give birth to grain, to crops. So agriculture is what makes female, because agriculture is the earth giving birth to crops. Goats? We don't need rain. Okay. So, two things for you to know that are both on this map. We see Babylonia down here and Assyria up here. I'm educating you in the religion that almost all of you believe in, and you're not educated in it in the least. You are Miss Teen South Carolina in terms of your own religion. You don't know the first thing about it. I do. I spent 10 years looking for God when I was 20 years old. And I looked in all the religions and everything else, and I read and I read and I read, and I was looking for truth and blah, blah, blah. That's what I spent my 20s doing. That's what's over there. So I know about this stuff. Now, so these are the important things, and it's interesting if you have an attention span. It is important to realize that Babylonia is on the south down here in Mesopotamia. So the Babylonian Empire is powerful down here in the south. These Assyrians are a different people. That's why they're both on the board. Please make sure that you have these two things. This is Mesopotamia. This is the Tigris-Euphrates. This is Iraq. You got the Babylonians in the south and a different power center. Power. Two major superpowers down in the north, the Assyrians. The Babylonians are far more cultured. They're the older ones, the first cities. Uruk, we talked about this. So meanwhile, settled empire. What does this word mean? Pagan. It's a vocab word. It will be on your test. If you don't know this word, worshiping nature gods. There are Americans especially in places like California and Oregon and Washington, the West Coast, which is more liberal, and also New England, Vermont, and Connecticut, and places like that. There are neo-pagans. People who have said, I'm not a monotheist Christian anymore, I'm going back to worshiping the earth and nature. Paganism. Paganism. It means nature worship.
In Maine, they have a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of pagans, right? It's a counterculture in America again, because America, the West is going through a religious sort of crisis. It has been for a long time because of science. And the Bible and science don't get along too well. They contradict each other a lot, depending on how you think. There are ways to be okay with it, but a lot of people
The
can't.
Pope is okay with it.
So yeah, the Pope is. I love him. So okay, so this is a pagan empire. Meanwhile, we have our nomads. Now it's a complicated story, but this is the birth of your religion, whether it's Jewish, Christian, or Muslim. Here we go. It starts with a man named. Who was the first man who said, God talked to me and the only God there is? What was his name? So okay, so good, you know that. You should. If you don't, even if you're not religious, you should know this, because I don't call, it's a mouthful to say, Judeo-Christianity, or Judeo-Christianity and Islam, or Judeo-Christianity and Islam and the Church of Mormon. Mormons will say, we are Christians. Christians will say, no, you won't. And I'll say, I don't want to argue. I'm just going to say Abrahamic religions. Because guess what? Muslims, Jews, and Christians, and Mormons, I just included all of you, because he's the guy who said, there's one God. And all these pagan nature gods are false. And he talked to me. That's how I know. He talked to me. The creator of the universe revealed himself to me. So, Abraham, and that's why it is common now to see this term, Abrahamic religions, because they come from this man. Now, very interesting. Who, what, where, when, why? Where was he from? This is where it gets really deep. Oh, let's start with the when. I'm going to put it in quotes because there's no evidence that he existed. because it was 1,000 years before writing, before the Jews started writing, before the Jews even existed.
Wait, 2,000 years?
2000 BCE, sorry, here we go. All right. So, and where was he from? Look, tell me. Uruk, Gilgamesh's city. The city that had the temple with the prostitutes in it and the goddess Ishtar, where fertility was worshipped. And there were many gods. And pleasure and sex were good because that's all fertility and that's all like making earth reproduce, and the goddess is happy because everybody's reproducing. So he is from the city. He's not actually from Uruk, he's from Ur. Close enough, it's right next door, you can see it, Ur and Uruk. And so the Bible tells us Abraham left Babylon and he traveled into Palestine. He went up the Euphrates and he came down, and on the way he met God. And God told him something. He said, I promise you this in return for a promise back. You do this for me and I'll do this for you. And so when God, let's just call it God's covenant, this is hugely important. If you give speeches and such, Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton, used as his persuasive speaking the idea of a new covenant with America. Okay? If you let me lead you, if you vote for me, I will do this for you. So this is really, really good rhetorical language, right? This is not dead history stuff. It's excellent vocab. It resonates with people because they're educated. They know about religious history. So what was God's covenant? Worship me as the only God, the first commandment. And don't worship anybody else, because there's only one God and it's me. Stay with us. You've been doing really well, don't fade now. And with this idea of worship me, there's only one God, the idea of monotheism is born. One God. That's radical. No other religion has only one God. How do you think that all of the other people who worship many gods are going to like this man who, when they say, hey, come and worship at our temple, here are our local gods. Everywhere has local gods. When we go to Egypt, we're like, where are your local gods? We will honor them at the temple. When Abraham says, no, I cannot worship your gods because I've met God, and he told me that your gods are false, and I cannot worship your gods because he told me to worship only him. How do you think these Jews are going to fit in the neighborhood socially? They will be despised as rude, as culturally insensitive, as pretty barbaric, and all sorts of stuff, right? And that's just, I'm being psychological here and I'm being factual. Can anybody argue with that? Can anybody argue with that? That where it's normal for there to be many gods and people just politely respect, wherever they travel, they respect the gods of their host country. When in Rome, you respect the Roman gods. When in Persia, you respect the Persian gods. And you got this one group of people who, wherever they go, they're like, I'm not going to respect your gods. They're false. I can't. They're going to be unpopular. Agreed?
Yes.
This is the problem with Israel, and it will be its problem. This is one reason that Hitler found it so easy to say, let's kill the Jews. They've always been unpopular. Now, and it starts with Abraham. What does God worship? So if it's a covenant, this is what God says you have to do for me. What does God do for Abraham?
Make him the father of the nation.
Promised land. If you worship me and make me your only God, then I will give you a land of milk and honey. And that's where that phrase comes from. It's from the Bible. The promised land. I will give you Palestine. Where you will be fruitful and you will multiply, and the children of your children, your descendants, will be as numerous as the number of grains of sand on the beach. You will make a great nation, and it will be called Israel, God said. And your children and children's children will outnumber the stars in the sky, God said. Very grand stuff. All you have to do is worship only me. God said. Furthermore, all of the rest of the humans that I created don't worship only me. They worship false gods. So if you worship me, you will be my chosen, and your people will be my chosen people. And if you're faithful to me, when the non-believers attack you, I will punish them. I, the creator of the universe, will smite them. I'm on your side, against all other people who don't believe in me and worship only me. But, what do you think he says? What comes after but?
You don't.
Then what's going to happen? This is the most interesting part here. A lot of you are fading off, and it's unfortunate because I'm telling you this is incredibly interesting. If you don't remain faithful and worship only me, if you're not good monotheist and obeying, and this is a religion of obedience. Islam means submit, right? Submit to God, obey him. Allah. So does Judaism. It's a very, very authoritarian religion. There are rules, you will obey them, and the first one is only me. So if you break that first commandment, what do you think God's going to do to you? No. Punish you how? This is where it gets interesting right here. How?
Hell.
No, there's no such thing as heaven and hell in this. That's so interesting. That's a Christian thing. Those of you who think that Moses and all those guys and David and the prophets talked about going to heaven because when you die, if you're good, you go to heaven and there's an afterlife, that's not in the Bible until Jesus and after. There's no heaven and hell. Muslims who think that all the way back at the very beginning, God's universe included a heaven where you go when you die and a hell where you burn forever if you don't believe him. That's very late. In the beginning, the Jews, they didn't have a heaven and a hell and an afterlife. They don't talk about it. I repeat, the first 2/3 of the Bible don't talk about an afterlife. They don't talk about heaven. They don't talk about hell. That's the Jewish Bible. This is what God said. How will he punish you? Yes, he can, and he does quite frequently. You worshipped a golden calf? Watch this. Right? Just like thunderbolt kills that person. So God can kill you directly, and he does it many times. People have counted how many people God has killed in the Bible, and it's shocking. It's just shocking. Google it on YouTube. You'll see some jaw-dropping numbers. How many people God killed in the Bible. But here's the interesting thing. He told the Jews, he told Abraham, and he told Moses again, and several other people, I will use your neighbors who hate you to punish you. They don't like you because you don't worship their gods. But if you stop obeying me, then I will punish you by making your neighbors come in and invade you. So God's saying, I'm going to control history. Do you hear this? I'm going to control history, and it's going to be centered around the Jewish people. And I'm going to say Persia, Darius, Cyrus, Xerxes, 300 stuff, right? What's that movie 300, right? You know that Persian badass in the movie 300, right? Well, he's part of the Bible's history. He's in the Bible. The Jews think God got mad at us because we stopped obeying him. And he said, okay, I'm going to take this Persian king and make history punish the Jews and then go on and do the rest of the stuff. And that's inaccurate, I know. But, right? And so the Jews are like, everything that's happening, it's God using history in other countries and power to either reward us or punish us based on whether we obey him or not. The Jews are the chosen people, and history revolves around them. Because God created the universe for them. He promised it, the promised land to them. And when they stop obeying, he switches history around to spank them, basically, like an angry father with a historical belt, invasions. And here's the end of the covenant. And when you return to me, and again obey me and love me as the only God, like good children, then I will return you to this land. So I will make people invade you. I will push you off your land when you're unfaithful. All you have to do is keep faith. And I will return you to this land because it's yours forever. That's the second mind-exploding part. I'll tell you why real quickly. It's going to fast forward by 2,000 years. Shortly after Jesus died, The Romans, who hated the Jews because the same reason, they wouldn't worship the Romans' gods, they just like came in and just expelled all the Jews and kicked them out in 2000 in the year 66. Hear this. The Jews did not live in this land from 2,000 years ago, but they kept on believing in God because God said all we have to do is believe in him and he will return us to our land that he gave to Abraham 3,000 years ago if we just keep the faith. You know when they got it back? You know what, the next time the Jews got back the promised land that Abraham was promised? 6 years before Lord of the Flies was written. For 1950 years, the Jews did not have this land. And they took it again 10 years before I was born, and they're like, see, God still rewards us. We got our promised land back. The Roman Empire kicked us out when Jesus was alive, and God gave it back to us. God's still working in history. The power of faith. The power of faith. All right. I'm sorry, what?